Hello everyone, welcome to Mark Shrimp Tanks. In today's video I'm going to show you a very simple but more advanced bee shrimp setup. This setup is specifically designed for bee shrimp like Taiwan bees. We are going to begin with the how, and later on in the video I'll go into more detail on why we're doing things certain ways. So guys, let's start with ADA Amazonia V1. This is the original version of ADA Amazonia and it is considered to be one of the best shrimp soils that you can get, right? So for this one specifically, you want the one that has the gold writing on the bag, right? Let me show you. So that is, I'll try and show you a bag that's unopened so you can see it a little bit easier. The gold writing, you see here it has Amazonia written on the front. This is the one that you want. So now that you know what your soil is going to be, right, you have to use a little special ingredient, and I have it here. I'm going to show it on camera because I didn't show it the last time. And some of you guys complained, you're like, Mark, show us the packaging. So here it is, just simple, plain, organic rice bran, and we're going to add some to the tank. Let's add in our little scoop of rice bran. We want this to go, guys, 2/3 of the way back. So you have 1/3, 2/3, and this is where we're going to heap our soil, right? So you just want to heap it in the middle like this. And this is followed by 500 grams of our ADA Amazonia, right? And you want to just plop it right on top of your rice bran. And kind of try and do this slowly, guys, so you don't spread the rice bran out too much and all over the place. Let's see if we can angle it a little bit, right? So this is what you want to do. Just heap it right in the middle. Now, if you want to slope it towards the back, you can do that, but it's not necessary with this shrimp tank setup, right? So this is what we're going to do. Next, we're going to add our very, very simple filtration, which is a double sponge filter like this. And what you want to do here, guys, is you want the base of the sponge filter to touch the bottom of the tank like this, you see it? And then you want the top of the filter, this part away up here, you want it to be just above the water level, right? So that's what we're going to do next. We're going to put in our water. So next, guys, I'm going to add in a bag here that I have from an old soil bag. This will help to disperse the water that goes in here without making an absolute mess of our soil, right? So we want to put this into the bottom like this. Over here is my reverse osmosis setup. I'm just going to quickly show you it because some of you will want to see it. I have my RO water stored in a bucket like this, big blue barrel. It's about 200 litres. We have a pump in the water that goes all the way around like this, and I have it going to a little device that I put into my tanks. And this also has a little control valve on it so it doesn't go too fast or too slow. You know, I almost forgot that I actually need to lift this tank into its position, so we need to put the water in after we move the tank. While we're here, let's add our light because there's so much glare in this room. It's going to be hard for me to add it later. And you'll be able to see stuff in here, so let's get that put in. And I'm just going to switch it on right now. While that is filling up, guys, let's talk about our plant. We're going to use our ADA Amazonia again. We're going to use a little bowl. This is going to house our soil. And then we're going to use a little cutting of Cryptocornea Nuri Pink, right? So this goes quite pink once it's in the tank and it gets established. I love this plant. I have it in quite a few of my tanks now. So let's get this in here. We're going to fill up our little bowl about 3/4 full, and then, guys, we're simply going to add our plant to it, right? So there is a little method to doing this. I'm going to move this out the way just so you can see a little better. Want to grab the nuri roots like this, make sure all the leaves are out the way, make sure they're all out the way. I'm going to try and not break anything, and then I'm going to grab the roots, right? So I want to use 2 fingers in this, and I'm just going to push it straight down into the soil as hard as I can, right to the bottom. And then as I release my fingers, I'm going to give them a little shiggle back and forward. You could probably use forceps to do the same thing. And then, guys, we're going to slightly lift our plant and give it a shake as we come up and push the soil into place around it. Now, this plant will probably take a week or two to start growing new roots into the soil, but once it does, it will look spectacular. Okay, so let's temporarily remove our water supply until we get our plant in. Let's also remove the bag because it is no longer needed. I think now would be the perfect time to fix our filtration, so let's get this guy stuck onto the back. Next is our little plant. Let's add it to the tank, and we're going to do this very, very slowly like this, and this is where you have to do it very, very slowly, guys. I put the camera at an angle so you can see the water level, and we want to flood our little container really, 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 really slowly. We'll always get the odd little bit that comes up, floats, but if you do it this way, with a little bit of luck, nothing will come up at all. I don't think anything has come up, which is a bonus. I've lowered the camera a little bit, guys, so you can see a little bit better what this is going to look like. It's a very, very minimalistic bare bottom tank. But what will happen here is all this glass here on the sides and the bottom and the back will all go green. Let's fill up the rest of the tank, and I'm going to put this on slow just so it doesn't make a mess of what's already in here. And adjust it down a little bit. There you go, that is lovely. That's all I need. Once it gets up to just under the Aqua sign, that will do me. Tank is done, and guys, it looks super bare, doesn't it? So let's go over to another tank and we'll talk about why this setup works and why I think you should use it. Here we have a tank setup that is very similar, guys, that is in the same room, right? I have a couple of tanks that are set up the same. You can see what eventually happens to the tank when it gets like this. The tank glass on here is just absolutely teeming with life. There's copepods, little worms, there's seed shrimp all over the place. So we have only 3 shrimp in here, but today I thought we'd add a few more shrimp to the tank and clean the glass at the front, and we'll talk about why this works as well, why all these elements that we added to the tank actually matter and how they affect. Okay guys, while I was cleaning the glass here, I thought it'd be a good idea to actually tell you why we use rice bran in the aquarium in the first place, right? So the main reason, guys, is it actually produces a lot of mycelium, which is the fruiting body of fungus, right? And that is super essential for shrimp because it's basically biofilm, right? And shrimp need lots and lots of biofilm just to actually function and grow. It's a main source of iron, magnesium, sheatin. So you can see how it's quite essential for a shrimp tank, right? So the second really good reason to add rice bran to your tank is it's actually coated in lactobacillus as well. So if you've seen me make my probiotics, this is where it comes from. It actually comes from the rice, the outer hull of the rice, the shell of it. The benefits of doing this, guys, is you end up with a much healthier, cleaner tank because it actually can reduce the amount of organic waste that is in the tank as well, right? So what ends up is you have less mud in the base and you have much cleaner looking water. Let's talk briefly about why we leave the front section here bare and open like this. This is basically waste management. It allows you to put your food in the front and have a good visual aid in if you're adding too much food to the tank, right? The other purpose it serves as well is it means no food is getting stuck under your substrate, right? So all the little critters and stuff, whatever else in here, even if they get full, they will come back eventually and finish off what food's left lying here. So that's why we do it. Next, guys, I thought we would actually add a couple of shrimp to this tank as well. So I have a couple of galaxies in here, and I thought we'd talk about when is a good time to add the shrimp, right? So you want to do this in moderation, right? So this tank has been set up for a good month. I've only had 3 shrimp in it, right? But what I'd like to do is add shrimp a couple at a time. So we're going to drip feed this tank shrimp just so that it doesn't overstress the system. So when can you actually add the shrimp to the tank? Well, if you wait 1 week, right, and the tank is settled and the pH is good, then you should be good to go as long as your mycelium is present on top of the soil. So what would I recommend? I would recommend that if you want to add your shrimp to the tank after 1 week, do so, right? But what I would recommend you do is doing a decent sized water change first and then waiting a couple of days to see the pH go back down and your tank to become stable again. This is typically what I would do myself, right? So I would set up the tank, wait 1 week, then I'd probably do between a 70 and 90% water change, get rid of all this water, fill it back up, wait a few days, and as long as your mycelium is present on the surface of the soil at the back, then you're good to go. You can add a few shrimp. Oh, one thing I actually forgot to do was add our homemade probiotics. You guys know I make my own rice lactobacillus probiotics here. I think I've shown this in my last 3 videos, but I wouldn't show it so much, guys, if I didn't think it actually really works. So I'm giving it a shake here because we're going to use it in our tanks. For your 40 litre tanks like I have here, which is about 10 gallons, I'm going to add 3 ml per tank per water change, right? So because our tank over here has never had a water change, this is fresh water, I'm just going to put it straight in with the pipette like this, 3 ml, finally got them. And yeah, we'll go over there and we'll stick it in the tank. And we're just going to squirt it in where the water is at the back. And guys, your lactobacillus should have a fruity, sweet, doughy smell. If it doesn't have this, then restart your culture. I've shown it in other videos how to make this, so I won't explain it how to do it here, but yeah, this is one of the probiotics I use in my tanks. Let's talk about something that is very, very crucial, and that is lighting in your tank. You're not going to get green walls like this if you only have your lights on for, like, say 4-6 hours a day, right? You really want your lights to be on anything between, I don't know, 10 and 16 hours a day. You want a lot of light. In this type of setup, guys, you want to do as little water changes as possible, right? So what I would recommend to you is to do between 5 and 10% every second week, right? And that will mean that your soil will last much, much longer than you doing 25% water changes every week, right? So that is the goal. Some of you will be asking me, Mark, how long does this last, right? A typical setup in the tank like this with ADA Amazonia original will last anywhere between 6 months and a year. But yeah, the reason that it is so good to do it this way is because the turnaround time and how long it takes to actually remove the soil, put it back in, get the shrimp back into the tank is less than 2 weeks. So you can see why a lot of professional breeders are very, very drawn to this, because as we said there, basically soil only lasts, it's only good for a certain length of time, right? So you may as well take advantage of that. So a restart for this would simply mean removing the soil. I use a vac for this, a wet and dry vacuum cleaner. Remove the soil, add your rice bran back to the center again, add the new soil, fill up with new water. You could probably even use the existing water that's in the tank, keep the same filtration, and within a week or two, you'll be good to go to add your shrimp back to the tank, right? So that is why this works so well. So there you have it, guys. If you follow my setup and you do it like this, you'll have a very stable tank that is very productive, and you'll be able to restart it very, very easily.